Hey guys, Bounce here on the PBE, here to talk to you guys about some minor buffs to Taliyah. So the actual numbers in terms of what I'll be talking about, they'll be in the description directly below the screen. I just click probably show more and you can see the whole thing. But starting off with the basics here, the base stats have been improved slightly on her. At level 1, her starting HP was 500, or currently is 500 on live server. On the PBE, they buffed a little bit to 520, so up by 20 HP. Aside from that, they've also changed threaded volley a little bit, so the mana cost has been lowered. So it used to be, let's check it out now, it used to be 60, 65, 70, 75, 80. That's been lowered to 50, 55, 60, 65, and 70. So basically 10 lower at each rank. Aside from that, the worked ground effect, that's been shortened from 180 seconds to 140 seconds. So it's gone from 3 minutes to 2 minutes and 20 seconds. It's kind of an interesting number there. And there's a new effect on it where it deals 50% extra damage to minions. So they're upping her wave clear. Kind of an interesting set of changes there. From what I can tell, like, I'm not really certain. I don't keep a pulse on what people think too much, but as far as I can tell, the general kind of feeling I'm getting from what other people think about her is that they think she's slightly underpowered, like crappy to slightly underpowered somewhere, and that's more or less what I predicted would happen. I wouldn't agree that she's terrible. I would say she's decidedly average, and that's her problem, especially when the champion's new. If a new champion is average, people play her crappy, and, usually when champions are, people are just used to having overpowered kits and champions right at release, and then they tend to get scaled back. She's actually, yeah, somewhere between, like, slightly too weak and completely average, so there you have it there. And, she's not a hard damage carry type champion, so that's also going to feed into that sort of stuff a lot as well. Now, in terms of what they're buffing, it makes sense and doesn't make sense in my opinion. It's just kind of across the board, small little buffs here and there. But actually, what they initially buffed was just her, or rather, I think they just lowered the mana cost on the Q, which I thought was weird because mana is not her issue at all, unless you're just spamming spells like an idiot, early game. Typically you build like maybe one mana item, and then you're completely fine thereafter. In fact, when I'm playing as support, I can get away with just having, it's not even an mana item, it's a sustained item. Where is it? It's this thing right here, Spell Thief's Edge into Frost Queen's Claim, and I'm just kind of fine for the rest of the game. Or when I'm playing as a mid laner, I'll get, Rod of Ages fairly early, and that's more than enough. So I'm not really sure why they're buffing or lowering the mana cost. Base HP, yeah, that's an okay thing. She's pretty squishy early on. Kind of gets ruined by assassins, like really hard. Extra 20 HP is probably not going to save you, but nice, I suppose. The worked ground effect being shortened, that's actually probably the most significant buff there. Just because that's such a limiting factor in terms of what she can do in terms of kicking people out of lane and harassing and that kind of stuff like that. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out in terms of the actual game or actual gameplay. Another weird thing, it's nice, but the fact that they're adding this effect where the Q deals extra damage to minions is strange. I imagine the idea is to somewhat mitigate the fact that it tends to, because of the subsequent damage getting lowered, it'll help the wave clear. But the thing is, wave clear isn't really her issue at all, unless they're talking about like super early game, and you can't really use your WE combo or EW combo or whatever. No, it's WE combo. That much because you run out of mana. To just sort of clear waves up. Now, roaming is one of her strengths. I think not a lot of people haven't been using that enough. It's sort of it's a slightly more difficult concept for to use, I suppose. It's not the basic. Your champion deals tons of damage, destroys your the lane opponent, and then wins off with that. Like Taliyah, a lot of her strength comes from a very strong sort of roaming kit, and you got to kind of use that. Well, you don't have to, but ideally you should be using that. To some effect, to try and impact the game as much as possible. But getting back on the topic here, I just don't really understand it, given that her wave clear is already really good outside of we just got disconnected. The super early game, but the super early game, you're generally not going to be roaming that much anyway, so I don't know. Well, we'll see. It's there. It's better than nothing, I suppose. So, yeah, as I said, Taliyah receiving some slight buffs, kind of across the board, all over the place. Well, I guess it's mainly focused on the Q, but focused on the Q in sort of unusual ways, or multiple ways, I suppose. Now, will this be enough to make her good? I don't know. Like I said, I've always thought she was kind of pretty, well, like just sort of very super average. And as I was saying in my pre-release videos and stuff like that, I think my predictions are coming to pass where people just think she's not very good. But it'll, I think opinions will sort of stabilize that, she's okay, and be, have her as kind of a niche pick for people who really like this kind of playstyle at some point. But anyway, that's it for now. Again, in the description below is the actual balance changes, along with a link to my live stream, twitch.tv/ponce, where I'm headed off to probably stream, well, now. See you guys around. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.